Welcome to TransAction TV. My name is Anthony Attanasio. I'm the CEO of Hawk Strategies, and I'm very pleased to say we're joined today by my good friend, Assemblyman Calabrese, Chairman of the Assembly Transportation and Independent Authorities Committee. Clinton, thanks for being with us here today.
Anthony, thank you so much for having me.
It's always good to have you.
Can I start doing this now?
The Hawk? Yeah, so everybody knows Hawk Strategies. If you don't know, I'm a bit of a rabid alumni of St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia, as is the chairman.
The Hawk will never die.
The Hawk will never die. We're both proud Hawks. So thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
I'm so glad to be here. It's a great convention behind me.
Yeah, so it's your first year at TransAction.
First year.
What's your experience been like so far?
It's been wonderful. Meeting a lot of great people, a lot of good networks here, interesting topics on the panel discussions, but it's the beginning. You know, we have another day and a half of this, so I'm really excited.
That's great. So you're the chairman of the committee, which is really exciting, especially as a younger member of the legislature to have risen to be a chairman of what's one of the most premier committees. I'm biased, but it's the truth. The subject matter that you touch in your committee is pretty expansive and pretty impactful to every resident. Tell us a little bit about your experience on the committee and as chair.
So the committee has been a wild ride. It's a big committee, a lot of members, and transportation covers a wide area. Now, you also understand, you know this, Anthony, in transportation, we're talking about transit agencies, right? These are public agencies. So a lot of times they're not that easy to change, right? It takes a lot of input from outside parties and from inside parties to make certain changes. But we're here to make the best changes that we can for the residents of New Jersey, but also we want to work with our partners at NJ Transit or the Turnpike Authority to make the right changes. Right. But it's been a learning experience, to say the least.
Yeah, trial by fire.
Trial by fire.
So what are some of the larger initiatives or broader issues in transportation that you want to work on?
Well, one of the big things that we did, let me start off with one of the big things we did in the beginning of last year, right? Because this is not my first full year into it. My first committee, we reauthorized the Transportation Trust Fund, which is a pretty big deal because a little small percent of the payment at the pump will go towards funding infrastructure. And what we all know, and I have to keep reiterating, is infrastructure projects, especially road work, bridge work, I mean, these are massive. These are big projects, and it requires money. And those projects require a lot of time. Time to, first of all, draw up plans, get them approved, and then put a shovel in the ground to build. So when we got the TTF approved out of my committee and then ultimately through the governor's desk and signed, it was great for the industry, great for New Jersey though. You get a big bang for your buck when it comes to infrastructure projects. And the truth is, you know, these projects are going to be, when they're completed, if it's this year, next year, the year after, this is my kids' kids that are going to be the benefit of these projects.
Yeah, transportation is one of those areas where you really are having a generational impact.
Correct.
With the investment you make, if you do it properly, right?
Yes. And it's hard to sell that sometimes because I think a lot of times we want like that the reward right away, and it's hard to say, hey, well, in 10 years or in 15 years, you're going to really see the benefit of this. It's hard to sell that to someone.
Yeah, those of us in the transportation community know we talk in decades.
Yeah.
And former head of New Jersey Transit, Jim Weinstein, once said things like, mega projects are never dead until they're built, right? Like, we have a longer view in the transportation community, but I would suggest that, and you probably agree with this, the taxpayers in our state feel pretty overtaxed, or that they are already spending enough money to live here.
Yeah. But
the reality is that infrastructure does not cost the same as it used to, right? Everything's more expensive, so.
And I do understand how that argument, hey, we're taxed too much, there's too many fees. And that's the truth. I'm not going to say that's not the truth, but really, I generally believe, and I hope I get this across, is that when that money is being put towards a public use, a large project. I mean, hey, you like to drive the New Jersey Turnpike? You like to go over these bridges? Well, that's good money to be spent in repairing them and to putting them into fine working condition.
Yeah. When we renewed the gas tax, the TTF in 2016, we had worked with the Commissioner of Transportation. We said, the second this is done, make sure you are paving everything you can pave. And he did, because guess what? The taxpayers were upset about a tax increase, and then immediately they were seeing the investment, which is what you just hit upon.
Yeah.
So,
And for those that are the naysayers of the TTF that talked about EVs, well, within that transportation reauthorization, we added an annual fee for electric vehicles so that they could pay their fair share because they also use the roads as well.
Yeah, and the vehicles are heavier. So they're actually doing more wear and tear, but they really weren't paying anything into the system. So thank you for your leadership on behalf of the industries and the community. Another thing that I'd like to talk to you about, or talk to our audience about, is your leadership recently in a major bill we passed to revolutionize transportation for the paratransit community. We just finished a 2-year-long battle, which you joined in midway on, which we're so grateful for. You were a co-prime sponsor of a new law that allows for TNCs to provide paratransit service. Tell us a little bit about your views on that and how you see that helping citizens in New Jersey.
Well, it's a critical component in the transportation network to have these TNCs to help those who don't have the physical capabilities to get themselves around. And I'm going to spin it back on you, Anthony, because you were actually the leading force on this prior to me becoming the chairman. And then even during my time as chair, you were the one that was driving this home along with Senator Dagnan. But it's a critical component to the transportation needs of those who quite honestly need it the most.
Yeah. The disabled and disadvantaged communities of our state are the ones who are the most underserved when they need it the most support.
Yes.
So this is going to revolutionize their lives. So on behalf of that community, thank you to you, Chairman Dagnan, Assemblyman Calabrese, and Assemblyman Ganamort for really taking the lead on an issue that, frankly, it's a smaller constituency, right? So, a lot of times elected officials look for the largest groups to satisfy.
Yeah.
You really fought for the little guy on this one, so thank you for that. Any closing thoughts? Anything about where you see federal, state, transportation,
The federal government, I can't really give any accurate comment.
A lot of question marks right now?
Yeah, a lot of question marks. But listen, I'm from Bergen County. Yep. Anthony knows where I live. I'm in a very dense area of Bergen County, right outside Manhattan. And one of the things I would love to see come to fruition, at least in my lifetime, is the extension of the Hudson-Bergen light rail into Bergen County. We already have the infrastructure there. There's a freight line that's already there. There was an environmental impact statement that was previously conducted that needs to be looked at again. But one of these projects that if I try to sell this to someone, it's going to cost billions. I know that. But it will change the whole landscape of that corridor that goes up the Gold Coast, really, for my grandchildren. I mean, we're talking like that. That's how serious it is. And we just keep getting busier and busier up there. More and more cars are on the road. More and more people live there, which is great. I love that. I want to see more of that happen. I'm a proponent of economic development. But at a certain point, you got to start thinking about how we're going to move these people around.
Yeah, we could be lighthearted about it and say, let's finally get the B in HBLR.
Yeah.
It's a 30-plus-year-old system that is not in Bergen. But in all seriousness, to your point, infrastructure investment benefits communities, it benefits taxpayers, it benefits everyone, property values, just to your point, quality of life, mobility, safety. So we're very excited to hopefully get that, and we're going to look to support you in those efforts.
Thank you, Anthony.
And we want to thank you for your leadership, and I want to thank you for your friendship. And we're very excited to have you here at TransAction. So,
of course.
I want to thank everyone at home for watching. This has been Chairman Clinton Calabrese, and I'm Anthony Attanasio. I want to thank you once again for joining us on TransAction TV.